President Biden is bleeding the Strategic Petroleum Reserve dry as the administration will announce the sale of an additional 15 million barrels. The move a reversal from what the White House told our own Edward Lawrence just 2 weeks ago. Watch.
Is there any conversations about releasing more oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve? How's the president going to keep the supply up?
So we're not considering new releases from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve beyond the 180 million.
The White House now bragging about lower prices less than 3 weeks before the midterms as prices at the pump creep back toward $4 a gallon, now at $3.85 for a gallon of gas.
Every month, the typical two-driver family saves about $100 to $120 at the pump compared to where we were in mid-June. Every day, Americans save about $420 million at the pump compared to mid-June.
And that is the point of releasing the oil from the Strategic Reserve. Joining the conversation all morning long this morning is the Wall Street Journal's assistant editorial page editor, James Freeman, pollster and the president of Mislansky & Partners, Lee Carter, and Payne Capital Management president, Ryan Payne, is here. Great to see everybody this morning. Thank you so much for being here. This is intentional, James. Release oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to keep oil prices lower ahead of the midterm elections. We don't know what happens after the midterms, and we don't know how dangerous it is to keep depleting this. We are at the lowest levels in the Strategic Reserve since 1984. Your reaction?
Yeah, this is supposed to be a reserve to deal with a crisis. There is not enough fuel. There is something preventing gasoline from getting to market. This is another purely political effort. The press secretary probably didn't know this was coming because they got a new poll saying inflation is still the top concern and therefore sell down more of the reserve. So it is not part of a strategy to drive up production. This isn't saying we're going to release more and then next month new supplies will come online. It's just let's get past the election. It's so irresponsible, not what this was created for, and I don't think voters are going to buy it either.
Yeah, and I thought the editorial this morning, Biden's top 2023 priority, abortion, was spot on. Here we are, everybody worried about inflation and the economy, Lee, and you've got the White House saying that if Congress keeps the majority, he will have a national law. He will sign an executive order that will allow abortion up to the last day of pregnancy in all 50 states. Well, this is what he's campaigning on.
And that's because of the polls, right? So he's got a huge sign behind him everywhere he's going right now that says Restore Roe. And what he's counting on is there's 65% of women out there who are saying that they would make Roe versus Wade one of their primary voting issues. And so in many of these states where really it's not an issue, he's trying to make it an issue. In these issues, in these states where it's too close to call, he's trying to say, I'm going to tip women over. But it's not working. When you look at some of the polls, you're still seeing women are breaking Republican. And it's surprising because it's not usually what we're seeing. We have been seeing the last several years about the suburban women. But Republican, I mean, a lot of women right now, especially independent women, are saying, you know what is more important to me than abortion? Is the economy. Yeah,
inflation in America ups 28.2% September year over year. I mean, we're talking about huge numbers. The economy and inflation keeps coming up as number one and number two in every poll.
In every single poll.
Yeah, and what is he doing? He's trying to release oil from the reserve to keep prices. That's artificial.
It's completely artificial, and voters see through it. There's no sentiment that's saying right now I'm feeling better than I did 3 months ago. In fact, quite the opposite.
Yeah, and you're also going from the zenith when oil prices were at like their peak, right? Let's go back to when the Biden administration came into office where oil prices are a lot higher. And I'd also argue, it's kind of like we're trying to compete with OPEC here by releasing from the reserves, but it's kind of like bringing a water gun to people with AK-47s. You can't compete with OPEC. They've cut 2 million barrels a day. So it's just like it's a complete PR move, to Jim's point.
Well, even there, it was so disingenuous to ask OPEC, okay, you want to cut production, just don't do it before the midterm elections. So disingenuous. Yeah.